This month I'm looking toward like 25, 30. More recently, like last month, I made about like 15.
Starting as a 15-year-old, now 16, it's just like, if you guys need to learn sales from him, like, he's the go-to guy.
First week I got into it, I made 700, like DM setting. And that was a lot to me. There's days where I've made like 3K and it's insane. And then recently I don't even look at it like it's a lot.
Gonna be a millionaire in the next 5 years anyway, basically no matter what the fuck you do. What up, y'all? Welcome to the channel. It's Cardinal Mason. I'm here with a bunch of guys today. We're gonna talk business. Just a shoot the shit kind of thing. This right here, he may look young. He is. He's 16 years old. He's crushing it in sales. We got the offer owners over here, the guys he's working with. And it's just four dudes, going about their day to day, living the online money thing in Miami, on the top floor, literally and figuratively. Talking business, asking questions, taking questions, hanging out with a 16-year-old, which is my favorite thing to do. I love 16-year-olds. What's that?
I actually do have a question. So before I got into sales, I was kind of in every single business model. So like I even had like a clothing brand. So I had a clothing brand. I did like drop shipping, like all the typical kind of shit. So my question was like, what did you do before copywriting?
I also tried dropshipping, kind of. I bought a course for like $100.
Yeah.
That taught me basically nothing. It was like really in the early days of dropshipping when it was like there was no real good information. Like now I feel like dropshipping is like way more saturated and like
Everybody does it.
everyone's doing it and the information is really good, but it doesn't work as well as it did when I was gonna start, like in 2018. I probably would have made a bag. But I also like hated the idea of spending money on ads because I had none. So I had to find a way to like make money for free. Copywriting is one of those things, sales is one of those things.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that also why like did you
Yeah.
blow your wad with dropshipping?
So bro, I had no money to blow. I mean, when I was doing drop shipping, I was like just turned 15, doing all that stuff. Kind of sounds crazy, but when I got into sales, like the main thing I like about it is kind of like there's no cost to get into it. Obviously, you can pay somebody to teach you, but there's really no cost. And then it's kind of like with copywriting, you make your own money. Like you can make however much you want. There's no cap to it. That's what I kind of hate about like these standard kind of jobs. There's a cap. Like you're making this amount of money per year, and I really don't like that. So it's kind of similar because with sales, like you can go out and make a commission, you can make however much, and it's the same kind of thing with copywriting. Take on as many clients as you kind of can, and obviously you scale it from there. So
I got one of the early pieces of business advice I got that I still remember is the closer to the money you are, the more you're gonna get paid, and that means like where are you in physical relation to the transaction? So like someone who is an accountant, they make decent money, but they're not making as much as they could if they were closer to the sale. They're very far away from it. They're just like recording it. They're writing it down. If you are a copywriter or if you are a salesperson or if you are some sort of content creator or something like that where you are like the face of like where people are going to literally make that transaction, the closer you are to that, the better you'll be. And if you don't want to be like a direct salesperson, where you're like literally face to face selling somebody, that's as close as it gets.
yeah,
But like you can also be like one step behind that, which is like marketing. So like what are you telling the salesperson to say? So like all it like that is, and it's such a huge skill to learn now. Cause like, bro, if you're ripping sales and you're 16, like this is not gonna be the thing you do for the rest of your life.
yeah, of
You know
course.
what I mean? Like you're gonna figure something out in a couple years, and you're gonna be like, all right, maybe this is a better vehicle for me. But having that thing, having that skill of sales, is gonna help you forever.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what everybody says, and it's absolutely true that sales literally with everything you ever need is centered around sales, which is awesome. And then obviously, like I'm close to the money being in sales, and they literally are the business, right? They're literally making the money, doing the fulfillment, which is another awesome thing with sales is you don't have to do the fulfillment, right? And that's another thing I learned when I started doing the mentoring for people is you have to fulfill, and it makes it a ton harder, right? If you're just sitting behind a camera and you're just selling the people, it's one step and you're making 10% of the money. So it's really simple and it's really, I mean, it's not too hard. It's good money. And like yeah, I mean, I understand 100%. Like this is not the thing that I'm gonna do forever because even in a few years going through all these business models, this is the first one I've really made money with, but that doesn't mean like sit doing it for the next 5 years, right?
But you came up quick. So like I'm pretty sure it was like your first month or second month
Yeah, it
where
was like my first month and a half.
you made 5K.
Yeah.
I mean, like you're 16 years old. Like, where do you put that? Do you like invest or?
So I spent like all the money I made. So the first like month and a half, I made like what 5K, and then more recently, like last month, I made about like 15, but like 13 of it spent. So I bought a bunch of different things. I've paid a mentor, the guy that they know, Andres Contreras. I paid him. I bought different programs. My money goes into like different things that are gonna make me more money. I'm looking into now is like buying a watch, which I probably shouldn't do.
Don't it.
Yeah, I don't have the money to do it right now, but it's like that kind of thing because I see the first month I make 5K, I spend it. Now this month I make what 15K. Or last month. This month I'm looking toward like 25, 30. So I mean, it's obviously it's just up and up, and it's just. I mean, what's your advice on kind of saving money? Because
Well, okay, so I think you and I have very different personalities. My thing is, I've always been really driven by security. Like the thing I want is to not have to worry. That's why I make money. I think yours is a little bit more run and gun. That's why you were more willing to take risks. That's why you're 16 doing this. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
most 16-year-olds are fucking playing in the sandbox right now. And I think like for you, or for me, my goal was to put away as much as I possibly could. Like I also didn't really have a life. Like I started making money during COVID.
yeah,
Do you
just
remember COVID?
inside.
Was there
Yeah.
was there was there a reason you wanted to start making money? Like, was there like a driving factor, or was it just, fuck it, I want to get money?
I didn't even want to be rich, bro. I wanted to be able to make like average money
Mhm.
without having to do much work. And that was that's like
Yeah.
most of the people that I speak to on YouTube and
Mhm.
TikTok, where it's like people don't want to, my audience doesn't want to make 100K a month.
No.
They'll get there one day because they'll figure out that like 5, 6, 7K a month is not enough.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you guys figure that out. You earned that really early.
Yeah.
But like my goal was literally just to make like 80K a year
No.
from my house. And I knew that copywriting was like a safe and easy way to do that. But it was only when I started making that and I realized that my effort, I was putting in like 3 hours a day. And I was like, I
No.
could make way more than this.
Yeah,
So
no,
like,
that's
why don't I just
awesome.
give it a shot? And that's when I like hyperscaled and then I became obsessed. And I was like, oh fuck, now I have the identity of like a rich person. Like once
Yeah.
I hit like 20K a month, I was like, well now like I felt rich. Like
Yeah.
Do
in
you think
Canada
it'll
you
ever
are.
stop? Like that feeling of like more and more and more? I always think
No.
about that. No?
I don't think it ever does. I think like because that's the whole point of the
Mhm.
game. You know what I mean? Like for an entrepreneur, like how do you win entrepreneurship? Is it an exit?
No.
Is it
You
a
don't.
30 million? Is it hitting billionaire status? Because you still have people who hit billionaire status and then they, you know, like they want to do it more. Like you have billionaires that will start a new company
Yeah. You
from
start
scratch
innovating. Yeah.
and like and they'll fucking go and raise money again and they'll do the whole thing again just so they can make another 2 billion. Like
No.
that to me is crazy. Like so we know that the point of the game is not to like win, it's to like keep playing. You know
No.
what I mean? It's like if you're, like when I was in high school and like you have a free Saturday afternoon or something like that,
Mhm.
you're out playing football or playing whatever with the boys, like in some random field.
Mhm.
Like you're kind of keeping score, but like most of the time it's just like you play until you get tired and then you go home, you have dinner, and you fucking do it again tomorrow.
No.
Like that's kind of like the point of business where it's like you play until you're 65 and you're like, fuck, like I did a lot of shit I'm proud of. I
Mhm.
made a bunch of money. I've done pretty much everything I want to do. I've conquered XYZ. I
Yeah.
have a beautiful wife. I have kids. That's when you win.
That's valid. You know what I always kind of think about is I wonder if I'm ever going to lose like a sense of purpose. Because we've talked to Matt Shields a few times, and I think in one of his more recent videos on YouTube, he was actually talking about it's like, dude, you hit 100K a month, and you're like, what's my fucking purpose now? And he's always preaching about like, helping other people out, believing in religion and things like that. And it's just so crazy to me. It's like, dude, I mean, I don't know. I can't wait to be there and see what that's going to look like for me. Because it's either going to be I'm going to be in the same shoes as him, or I'm going to be like, cool, let's keep playing chess, the game. I don't know. It's such especially being here, these past 3-4 days. I mean, for God's sakes, we got the Lambo, and that was absolutely surreal. Sitting in that car, being 10 years, whatever it is, 10, 20, and you're like, man, I can't wait to have that one day. And then you sit in it, and
Yeah.
it's just like, wow,
Shit feels fake for a second.
it does. It does. I know you were when you first got in the car, you were like starstruck almost. Like, holy shit, is this even real?
Yeah. What was kind of? I mean, this is just a super side question. I want to know what like first time bar in the Rari. What did that kind of feel like?
First time driving it?
Yeah. Or yeah, driving it. Yeah, sitting
Yeah.
in
I mean, I was terrified.
it.
But I've told this to a couple of people. I haven't really said it publicly. I like the Rari never hit me. It kind of did last night. Like I was driving around last night and I had my girl in the passenger seat and like I couldn't tell if I was getting looks from other people because she's really beautiful
Yeah.
or if because the car is nice.
Yeah.
But that was the only time I've ever really thought like, oh, that's the benefit of having this,
Mhm.
because like it's about as fast as my M5,
Mhm.
and it's harder to drive like physically. Like
Yeah.
there's no power steering.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
It's
terrifying, bro.
weird. There's no like there's Bluetooth, but there's no like CarPlay.
Yeah.
It's a I don't know. And also like in the echo chamber that we're in, I feel like everyone has a Ferrari. I feel like everyone's rich. It
Out here,
doesn't feel
yeah.
unique. I'm like, all right, now I'm at baseline again.
Yeah,
And that's not why I got it. I got it because like it's just a cool little weekend driver.
for sure.
Let me fuck around with it. I wanted to get one for a while. I wanted a drop top.
Mhm.
But like, I don't know, it wasn't like life changing for me like that first month was. Like I will never get over the feeling that I had when I was in your position last month. So that was it March or April where you made that first 5K?
March,
So
end of March.
for you in March, that was so my version of that was it was like I think it was June of 2020, and I made my first $4,500 copywriting, and that to me proved that it was all real, and then I could start living this life of like whatever we're doing right now. Everything after
Yeah.
that hasn't really hit the same.
Yeah, top floor Miami, living that kind of style, literally. Like you said earlier, top floor figuratively and literally.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I kind of going back to like what Russell said, like the sales side of shit is where everything starts. And like shout out Andres because he put us in connection with Russell, and ever since we started talking with him and working together, and just I guess in general networking around, our biggest bottleneck in the business in general has been sales, and kind of implementing Russell on it has just been a game changer. Like we've been able to 3x the business now with Russell, and it's just been, I mean, it's been killer. So, shout out Russell. I mean, starting as a 15-year-old, now 16, it's just like if you guys need to learn sales from him, like he's the go-to guy. Even though he's so young, you can still learn a lot from him just because he's invested, like he said earlier, everything that he's made.
Which isn't a crazy amount.
Yeah, but still, I mean, 10, 15K is a lot.
I mean,
Then
for a 16-year-old,
yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
majority. That's more than what most people do in a year, and not in a year, but you know what I mean. And reinvesting all that back into learning learning about sales and learning more about the business and all that stuff. It's like, I mean, it speaks volumes in general.
What you
So
said though, I think is actually really interesting. Where you said like learn from Russell, and a lot of people are watching this like, yo, this kid's fucking 16, has been doing sales for 2 months. Like, why learn from Russell? Why not learn from one of the other guys who are have been doing it for years? I think there are definitely pros to being able to teach at your stage. If you can teach, like teaching is a skill in itself. People think that just because they've made money, they can teach how to do it. If you can learn how to teach, then you'll be good and people will want to learn from you because like you are in a position where you're in the trenches right now. There are so many people, thousands of people that are like 5 steps ahead of you where they're like
Oh
they
yeah.
really want to make money, they're trying sales and it's not working. But you're in the exact same position as they were. You're probably younger than them and you made it work.
Mhm.
That like when I first started copywriting was when I most wanted to teach. And I know now I'm teaching it because I wanted to like be an expert, and so I've been doing it for years now, like 4 years. This is my 4th year as a copywriter. And now I'm teaching it, but there's a lot of stuff that I miss out on, which is why I have like other people on my team that are basically the you of copywriting. Like I have my younger brother who has been ripping lately. Like he just kind of had his come up like this year. Bo, who's like 10 months in, she's at 70K a month. And then like this kid Alex, who's like less than a year and he's at like 25K a month. Like people who are brand new and it's still fresh in their head. Like, do you think you could teach sales? Like, do you think if people wanted to come to you and like, yeah?
For sure. For sure. And I think it's true because the reasons you're talking about, like, it's so recent, right? Because if you go to somebody who's been doing it 5, 6 years, they're gonna remember, but they're not gonna really like be there where they were. So I've been there legitimately 2 months ago, where I mean the story is kind of crazy. Like I didn't know where I was gonna go like 5 months ago, which is funny to say because most people where they would go is just like fuck around, they just chill. But I mean I've always been like kind of where I want to make more money, and I didn't know where I was gonna go. Like literally January, and now what is it like April? I didn't know where I was gonna go January. I got a text from somebody, needed a DM setter. I didn't even know what it was. And then I started doing it. I started closing it. It's like really fast, but I remember all of it. So I kind of know like the little shit that people are fucking up with so that I can teach them how to fix it, like step by step, how they're going to do it. Um, it's kind of simple. And another thing that you said too, like that I'm like 15 doing it, like,
yeah,
or 16. The thing with that is like, I don't know. I compare myself to the older people. Like, I don't care if I'm 15, 16 doing it at this level. There's other people doing it like the same 3 months, but like way up here. Like,
yeah,
that's where I want to be. I don't care if I'm
right. At my
16.
age, doing it literally. So
Exactly. Like,
it's the fact. The fact is that you're 10 years younger than me, and you're very well spoken. Like when I know, I mean, I know other 15-year-olds like my family and whatever outside, like just people that I know, and they're not nearly as well spoken or kind of like on the same, I guess you could just say wavelength in general. Not even thinking about business. I mean, they're, well, like whatever, playing football or whatever. So it's it's uh it's something that like you should just make sure you stick with, because right now you're ahead of the curve, and if you keep, if you stick with it, you kind of keep your head down, and you're gonna just keep staying ahead of the curve.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Something funny too is I was taking a sales call for him, like a what is it, like 35, 40-year-old woman. This is like 3 days ago. A lot of times people like talk about like how do you do this 16? You got these people like bugging me, like people call me buddy on sales calls and stuff, especially with them with real estate. It's a lot of older people. But this is kind of funny. Like this woman, end of the call, she's like, How old are you?" I said, I'm 18. And she's like, "Oh my God, I thought you were gonna say 25, 30." I think that's really, really
She
funny
thought
to
you were
see.
30.
Yeah, she
I'm
thought I was like
calling cap. There's
25.
no fucking way.
She said 2025. It's kind of insane.
I saw the recording. Yeah, she thought he was a lot
It's
older.
actually
That's
kinda crazy.
crazy.
I know it's insane, and I don't even think it's not really because I how much I look like. I probably look like what, like 18 maybe.
Yeah, it's the way you present
Uh,
yourself. That's what it
yeah, I
is.
mean, it's really cool because there's a lot of people in the business sales that I'm in, but like overall everything, who just never make it past like anywhere. Like they don't never even make their first online dollar before they even quit. Which is why, I mean, that's why I think you're right that I'm ahead of the curve. Not because the money that I'm making, but that I've made any money
Mhm.
doing it at all. Because most people don't.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah.
That's the hardest part, bro. And I think like the thing that got you over it quick was that you believed it was real kind of right away. Like the
Oh yeah.
first sale that anyone has to make in order to get themselves into online money is that it's a thing. Like I doubted that shit for years. I don't know about you guys, but like when I was like I first of all I hadn't even heard of this shit at 16. I don't think it was a thing yet. When I was 18, I heard about dropshipping for the first time, and some chick showed me that I could get the hat I was wearing. I paid like $25 for it at some store, but she was like, I can get that exact hat on AliExpress for $2. And she showed me, and I was like, that's crazy. And then she was gonna start this business, and I was like, huh, maybe that is the thing. But she never made any money with it. I was like, oh, another scam. And then like I think it was actually Twitter that kind of really sold me on it. What like made you think? What made you know that like online money was even a real thing?
Dude, I mean, that's like, I don't even know. Because, I mean, the first thing I did was like drop shipping. I literally lost money. Like, I remember being there, like getting 2 months into it, probably getting like one sale. I was selling like this stupid thing. So at that point, I didn't really believe it at all. I think it's part of the fact that I'm just young, and I mean, people call me naive. Like my mom calls me a naive. It might even be that. Like I was like believing like all these people are making millions of dollars. I might have even been stupid for thinking, but when I look at it like from here, I wasn't at all. So I'm glad I believed it because a lot of kids don't. For me, for sales, first week I got into it, I made 700 like DM setting, and that was a lot to me. Like I've never had like 2K in my bank back like a month ago, 2 months, 3 months ago. So it was kind of crazy. I was like $700 in the week. I was literally texting people in fucking geometry class. Like, no way. And then right off of that, I start closing, and it's more and more. Like, there's days where I've made like 3K, and it's insane. And then recently, I don't even look at it like it's a lot, but and it is a lot, especially. But I don't really look at it. Um, I've always kind of been like, oh, online money, 100%. Like I always believed in it, which I think is a great thing, even from the beginning. I've never wanted to work like a job. I never have worked a job like all my friends. No, and I probably should have. But all my friends work like the beach over the summer, shit like that. I've never done it. I've always been like, I want to do this, and nobody really believes it until it actually happens. So nobody really cared. They're like, it's not really gonna happen. All this bullshitting, like the clothing brand shit, kind of blew up over the summer, but I like made no money. Like it looked like I was making money, but the margins are so slim. I just wasn't making any money.
Yeah.
Um, and then sales just really like did it to me. I don't know. It was really really fast.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
thing
everything happened fast.
I was gonna say, the thing I like to we like to call it Wi-Fi money. The thing about Wi-Fi money is that like it's, I mean, there's no like limit. There's no like roof really on it. I mean, you're kind of limited to how much, sales you could do in a day, but it's like if you're doing 10 presentations or 10 sales calls, but like that in itself is like enough to supply you like for, I mean, you've already experienced it with the amount of days, the kinds of days you've had. Um I mean, like with copywriting, I don't know too much about copyright. I know it's, obviously a little bit different of a business model, which I do want to get into in a second because I want to know, like, just learn a little bit more about it. Or maybe, or obviously, you could tell the guys kind of like how you, or like what your kind of day to day is now from where you're at and where it was kind of when you started.
Yeah.
Because I'm the one thing about me with business is like, yeah, I mean, we got the agency going on, worrying about sales and admin stuff and all that other bullshit. But like one thing about me is like I'm super fascinated about like the turnaround with businesses, like where you start, where you were in the middle, what got you out of like the obstacles, and then in general like where you're at now and kind of what you do now day to day. If that makes sense. I know it's a
Yeah,
loaded question,
yeah,
but
yeah. No, for so I have freelancing, and then I have the coaching. So I have copy MBA.
yeah.
Most of my time goes to that because that is just way more important to me.
Mhm.
Freelancing to me is like, dude, it's like it never gets harder. Like it's not like because I'm not trying to scale it.
Yeah.
Like I've been sitting pretty at like 20 to 30K a month just from that for a minute,
Yeah.
and like that's so brain dead to me now because my clients I know who that like they're I've been working with them for a minute. Like
Yeah.
one client I've had since 2020. Like I just never let him go.
Yeah.
It's the easiest work in the world to me because I've just been doing the same shit.
Right.
And so like, and I only do it because I love it. Like I don't really need to do it anymore. I just do it
Mhm.
because I like to do it, and it's like it's easy, bro. I enjoy writing. Most of it is how can I, you know, add more to copy MBA? How can I get more people in? How can I teach people about copywriting? How can I find the next Russell?
Yeah. For sure.
And like dealing with the team, making sure that everything's dialed with that. But like these days, and I was who's I one of my boys because right behind us is the pool,
Yeah.
and I was just out tanning, and one of my boys was out there, and I was telling him like, dude, it's like the grind is kind of over. You know what I mean? Like we're kicking it for the summer. Like
Yeah. For
it's
sure.
like right now I work probably like 2 to 3 hours a day.
Okay.
There's not much to do. Like we're kind of chilling.
Yeah. It just kind of puts into perspective, like kind of like I mean, just seeing like where Russell's at right now and like grinding and dude, it's fucking. I just love the grind when it comes to business related stuff. But Mace, I want to ask like when you first started, what was sort of your day to day like? What obviously I kind of get what sort of got you into copywriting and all that stuff, just like your love for it. But then when you were first starting, like what was your marketing look like? How did you reach out? Like how were you getting clients? How were you like fulfilling for them? Because all that stuff has changed. I know in the last few months for you, right?
You're talking about freelancing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like I did a little bit of cold outreach when I started,
Mhm.
but I got myself into a really good position around a lot of big D2C guys. That was like my first like love.
Okay.
Like info and all that other stuff came later.
Mhm.
I was doing all kinds of stuff for ecom brands before anything else, and so like that was my thing. I was a marketer, I was a copywriter,
Yeah.
and so I got around these guys, and I was just like everyone's favorite. So I would just get picked
Okay.
for pretty much every gig. Like I was just once I was in the network, and that took a couple months.
Okay.
I was just getting inbound left and right.
Okay. So most of it was like through referral and network that you were getting your
Yeah,
sort of clientele and you were copywriting with those guys, and then okay.
because it would be agencies. So I started with an agency, and
Yeah.
I was working with them, and I got a lot of experience writing for brands, and they had some big brands at the time. Like
Yeah.
they were working with some pretty heavy hitters,
Yeah.
and then the brands would get me to do like little side projects for them, and they'd be like, "Yo, my boy needs a copywriter for this sales page, and oh, he needs emails now," and so I just pick people up like that. I was like in Slack groups, I was in like little Facebook groups where I would just get picked out.
Okay.
So that was when it was really easy. But the problem was, so the day to day part was actually really stressful
Yeah.
because I wasn't actually doing any outreach. It was all client work.
Yeah.
And so every day I would just have a to do list of stuff I had to do where it was like, all right, I got to write an email. So my work block was because like the agency that I was working at
Mhm.
was really like my main priority because they kind of put me on.
Yeah.
And so the first 2 hours of the day, no matter what, would be dedicated to doing stuff for them. And that usually meant either I had to do meetings or I had to like do some sort of concepting thing or just bang out a bunch of emails. And so I would write like 15 emails in the first 2 hours of the day,
Okay.
just bang those out. And then I'd have email for Terry, email for Kinship, got to write a Twitter thread for this guy, got to write, an email sequence for this. I got to do slides for this thing for Lunia, like just all kinds of just like every day would be like, 10 things on the list.
Mhm.
And there, like when it started to get really busy, like, and this is past like 35K a month, my first time around was when like I would wake up at 6 in the morning, pop a Vyvanse,
Yeah.
be wired all day long, work
Oh
from
my god.
7:30 to like till like 6 p.m.,
Yeah.
bang out everything I need to do, and then I'm still like amped
Wired.
because I
Yeah.
was taking like 60 milligrams at a time,
Holy fuck.
That's
which is a
crazy.
lot of Vyvanse.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's way too much. And then I'd be up until 3 in the morning, and then I would do it all again the next day.
Okay. Sick. And then when you started, I guess, offloading some of that, what was that like? I'm assuming you were just picking up VAs kind of to do some of the
No,
tasks for you,
I've
or?
never hired a VA.
Oh, okay.
So that was 2021. December of 2021, I like I basically got rid of everybody except for like 2 or 3 clients. And
Okay.
I was still making like 15K a month.
So you scaled back down.
So I just kept my biggest clients,
Okay.
15K a month, and I was kind of chilling. That was the first time I came to Miami.
Yeah.
Started to realize like, oh shit, like there's some, some real money out here.
Yeah.
'Cause I realized like for you to have fun in Miami, like you have to make at least half a million a year.
Yeah.
And I had touched that a handful of times, but like not consistently and not sustainably because I
Yeah.
was like just killing myself every day to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I gotta find another way. So I took kind of December off. January started Cardinal Agency.
Okay.
We did pretty well right away. I kept those clients, so I've never not freelanced.
Mm-hmm.
Grew the agency up to we had a couple months where we were doing like 100K ish, and then again not sustainable. And then I took on like more consulting style clients, and then started Copy MBA, and then that's been like the main thing that I've worked on since then.
That's fucking sick.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And that, I mean, Russell, like going back to kind of like the sales side of things, is like it really just goes to show like with the business how like quickly you can adapt to things. Because like May said earlier, like you're not gonna do this the whole time, right? You
Yeah.
know, just cry. You're not gonna sell for us the whole time. So I'm gonna cry a little bit when you leave. But like in general, what I mean is like when you develop and like when you move on to things that because like obviously Mason got his thing with now he's teaching what he was preaching, I guess you could sort of say. And I guess when you get to that point, like you're gonna see, and you're doing it so early that it's like just it's
Russell, I kind of want to ask, like, where do you want to take things? So, like,
yeah.
realistically, like, what's your plan? Like, how much longer would you ideally want to sell for, and then would you transition into something else eventually? Like, what does that kind of look like for you?
Man, it's a tough question because you do have to transition into something because it's the same thing he's saying. Like it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously it's somewhat sustainable, but something can happen. Like I'm selling for people. I'm not
Mhm.
selling for myself.
Mhm.
He's copywriting for other people, but or he was. But that's the thing. Like it's not sustainable. How do you think that it can like become sustainable in my position?
I think okay. So if I were you, so
Yeah. What's the biggest piece of advice if you were me?
So
right now?
everybody wants to grow as fast as possible. It's in the entrepreneur's blood
Hmm.
to want to skyrocket. Like you did 5K in March, you did 10K in April 12th, right?
Yeah. Right.
You're gonna do 20 this month. You want to do 50 by the end of the summer.
Oh yeah.
I think that as fun as that sounds, like I think it's honestly good to like coast for a bit. Like, bro, you're 16. You're gonna be a millionaire in the next 5 years anyway. Basically, no matter what the fuck you do. Like before you're allowed to legally drink in this great nation, you're going to have $1 million in the bag to your name.
I
whatever.
wholeheartely believe that, by the way.
So what I'm
Appreciate that.
thinking is like, because every time you make an adjustment, it's a lot of stress. Like it takes a lot. Like, dude, the first 4 months of Copy MBA after transitioning out of what I was doing before was crazy, bro. Like I didn't really sleep. Like it was a lot of work, a lot of work. Um, Same with starting the agency. Like, dude, I was like kind of traveling too because I was like trying to escape Canada because of COVID. Because there was just like all these stupid ass laws,
Lockdown.
and so I went to Mexico, and then I was in Miami again for a little bit. I went to Dallas, and I was in Charleston, and then went back to Canada, and then I came back here for like I went to Nashville. Like I was just all over the place trying to build this, and it wasn't even. I was getting there, but like I was just like super sleep deprived. I wasn't in the gym. Like I feel like there's like a sweet spot, and I feel like if you can make consistently like 15, 20K a month for like the next like year, it'll become abundantly clear what you want to do. Because what a lot of guys do is like they have some success and then like, all right, fuck it, time for the next thing, like time to upgrade again.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to. I think like I think you have a huge opportunity right here. You get to learn with these guys. Like you guys know what you're doing. You've been in the game for a minute. Hang out with them, network with people, and also like, do you have any desire to be a 16-year-old? Like, do you have any desire to like, dude? I loved high school. I peaked in high school. My life now sucks compared to when I was 16. Like, do you have any desire to like, like your boys working at the beach bar? Like, to me, that sounds sick.
Yeah.
It would be
man.
cool. Like, I would honestly, in your position, like, and I thought about this when I first started copywriting. Like, I wanted to have a couple of clients and make like 10K a month, but I wanted to like get like a bartending job to like stay in the game. Stay in the social sphere.
Yeah, for
Do you
sure.
have any desire to do that?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it's hard not to like you said, like not want to go to the next thing and go bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like the shiny object, but I don't know. There's a desire, of course, right? Like I'm 16. I can't even drive yet, but like that there's a desire 100%. And I think you're right. They should stay down and keep doing the same thing I'm doing right now before trying to
Yeah,
go
like,
bigger
get
and bigger.
reps.
because something will happen, right? If I keep going bigger and bigger and trying to make it bigger and bigger, like I obviously don't know a lot about it. So
Mhm.
something's gonna happen. I'm gonna fuck something up. And that's like the biggest thing for me is not plateauing, right?
Mhm.
Because I did what 5K, 12K, trying to do 20. Higher than that would be awesome, but I don't want to strive for that. And then because I'm shooting higher and higher and higher, and it's just a number in my head, just plateau down mentally, physically, like
Mhm.
that would really suck.
Yeah. I don't see anything wrong with like taking a year to like just put fucking 200K in your bank and like learn a lot and meet a lot of people. Like, dude, while you're doing it, like travel, like bounce around. I know you can't like drive, but like
Well,
you
soon,
can have Uber, right?
yeah,
Okay,
Yeah. That's all
dude,
you
that's all
need.
you need anyway. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you can get Airbnbs. You can get a hotel. Can you get a hotel? I
No,
don't
I
know.
can't get a
legally,
hotel, but you
Can't
get
get
a
a hotel.
B&B. But I mean, or go ahead, Mace. I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
yeah, bounce around, like try and just like work on the social thing as much as you can. Because if you're gonna be cut off from like the high school social thing, the worst thing you can do for yourself is like shut yourself out and like
oh
have
yeah,
no like boys, you know? Like,
it's
and
a
you're in a
big thing.
tough position. Like you're in a position where like you're making this much money at 16. There's probably a couple people in America that are like doing the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't met a ton of people doing it.
Yeah, so you have to find you have to find your squad, dude. I was so in that time when
Mhm.
I was like just like day in day out
Hunkering
five
down.
ants, yeah, like just writing all day. I had like no friends. It was like shitty.
Yeah,
I had nothing going. It also was COVID, but like bro, I didn't have social media really. I wasn't hanging out with anybody. I had broken up with my girl like 6 months beforehand. I had nothing going on, and it was like kind of shitty. Like I remember because it was right after I just turned 22, and I called my mom, and I was like, "Fuck, like is this it? Like is this adulthood? Is this what I'm gonna do every day? Like I have nothing going on." That's really shitty. That's really lonely, bro. And so
oh yeah,
if I was a normie, I would have known where to go. You know what I mean? I could enroll back in school, fucking meet friends in my classes and stuff, and go and work at a restaurant, and I'd have a social circle in a second. You know what I mean? But like for you, you're on sales calls all day long. Like
oh
you
yeah,
gotta have a squad. You gotta find those people now, because like bro, the best thing I ever did was move to Miami. It's like start hanging out with Ben, Jimmy, Sanjay, Miles, Danny, like all these guys down here that are like my people now. And we've been hanging out for like 2 years now, and like those are my boys, bro. Like, and my younger brother too. He's in copywriting too. Like he's like all these guys are gonna be in my wedding.
yeah,
You gotta find the people that are doing the same thing as you, even if they're a little bit older. You gotta find those because like that's like the main mission. That's why we do what we do, bro. Money is boring as shit if you have no one to spend it with.
Yeah. I want to kind of add on to that, and this is something that like me and kind of Ken and I always talk about too. It's like we're still kind of in this picture too. I mean, we're not clear. We're still like it's what we call like chaos. Like you just need to like go through this chaos phase where it's like you need some chaos in your fucking life to like really realize that like that's I don't know. I get
That's scaling.
yeah
That's what scaling is having chaos, is it being like, holy shit, I have so much to do. This is gonna be super hard. But guess what?
yeah
That chapter that you were talking about, I call that a chapter.
Yeah.
That's just a chapter in your life. We all go through that lonely phase.
Mhm.
Me and Adine don't got nobody else.
Yeah, I
You know what I
think I mean,
mean?
yeah, there's like people will like try and shoot you down. People will try and blame things on you. People are gonna try and like or hate on you. I mean, it's already going on. And no names or anything, but
Matrix attack.
yeah, and it's just like it's the chaos that you kind of have to go through. And like Kenan said, we're still in that chaos as well. And you don't know how long it's gonna last, but that's gonna like build your character and get you to, you know, Mason's level
It builds
soon.
character at the end of the day.
Yeah.
oh
It,
yeah, for sure.
yeah, you want to go through all that shit because if you don't, you're gonna be. I mean, you're gonna be soft. You
Yeah.
don't. You want to be hard. You want to know how to act. You want to know how to lead a team because at the end of the day, how are you supposed to lead a team of people or employees, if you will, if you haven't gone through all that hard shit yourself?
That bullshit.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about networking, meeting different people, do you think I'm kind of doing the right thing right now, being on social media, being in all these different places, trying to meet all these different people? Or do you think
Yes, but you gotta physically go. Because like networking online is cool and you can have your boys online, but like I had the same thing, right? Like my clients were kind of like my friends, and I had
yeah,
my friends online, but as soon as I closed that laptop on a Friday night, and like everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm going out, go to the weekend, da, 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 I'm going to bar with this person, my boys back home, and then you close the laptop and there's nobody there.
oh yeah,
It's really sad.
yeah,
You gotta find where these people are and you be the leader, bro. Like if you meet, like don't wait for people to reach out to you. Like if you see someone who's like a couple years ahead of you and killing it, like try and meet as many people as possible, and like put yourself where they're at. You know what I mean? You're in Chicago. Chicago's a good place for that. Miami's a great place for that. New York business, not so much. It's still fun as fuck. But California, you got guys out there. Like as long as you're in a big city and you have people that are like not just like business friends, but also like your boys, bro, that also do business. Like I feel like that's the key.
You know what I'm kind of nervous about though, is once we get to that point, or at least for Dean and I and Russell, I wonder how many fake people we're gonna meet and that are just like friends with us because all these guys make a shit ton of money, they have all these cool cars and all this shit. I'm
You're already seeing it a little bit.
I know, and
You're
that's
already
the
seeing it a
crazy
little
part.
bit, yeah.
You know what's crazy? You guys would be surprised at how rare that is.
Really?
Because you can spot that shit so fast.
That's
Like,
Yeah.
true,
bro,
yeah,
I've
and you
met
just kind of kick
all
them
kinds
out.
of people that, bro, I meet people every day where it's like it's clearly not real. You
Mm,
know what I mean? Like they see something, so they're like, oh, I've seen you on Twitter, bro. Like good shit. Let's hang out. Let's grab lunch. Let's fucking network.
mhm.
And you're like, oh, I see what's going on here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like you'll know right away like what's an organic relationship. You're never gonna get like backstabbed.
No.
That's very rare.
No.
At least here, like maybe like in a different community, like I don't know. I hear that a lot more in like entertainment.
Mhm.
Mm.
Like people are less likely to latch on to money, way more likely to like fake latch on to clout.
Mm,
So
I
like
see.
I have a
see.
lot of friends. This is more a West Coast thing,
Mhm.
but like they got a couple million on TikTok, a couple million on Instagram, and like they have a bunch of people that are around them just because they want to be on fucking camera. You know what I
That's
mean? That's
horrible.
not real. But with money, bro, entrepreneurs are smarter. You
Mm.
guys know. You
Yeah.
guys are trained
You sniff
as
it.
entrepreneurs to know what people. Yeah, you sniff it
You
out.
sniff it out, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Sniff out the bullshit.
Exactly.
Yeah. Russell, I know you were gonna say something about the sales side of things. I kind of cut you off, so my apologies. Or I'm not sure what you.
I'm not sure. I don't remember what I was talking about, but
Okay.
that's definitely true in sales where you can kind of tell what a person's thinking, tell what a person's doing. So, 100%. I wanted to ask too. When you're talking about like these different phases, is it all like a smooth thing for you, like one to the other, or is there like distinct a couple phases? Like like here I was this through this, I was doing this, and then I jumped a
Yeah.
lot, and then I started doing this. Like, is it always a risk, or are you taking like these comfortable little smooth kind of things?
I mean, it makes it a lot easier if you have bread in the bank. That's why I was saying where it's like take a year to just stack. Like
Oh,
try
yeah.
not to spend too much. Like I know you want to buy a watch, and you should buy a watch. Like maybe on your 18th birthday or something like that, you buy yourself a fucking wicked day date or something like that. Like that would be sick. But it makes it way easier to stomach it when you like
When you
have
have that.
money in the bank. Like when I started the agency, I didn't mind taking December off, like making a third of the money I was making previously because I was like, all right, I got savings, I'm fine, like I'll be okay.
Mm.
Same when I started with actually no, Copy MBA was different. When I started that, I was kind of like running out of money.
What's like? Do you have like a distinct like you risk something in the beginning?
Obstacle, you mean?
Yeah, like
Like a big jump.
yeah, like I bought Copy MBA like from Chase. Like I had to there was a price tag on it. I own 50%. I was trying to buy so I could have 90. And I put a bunch down on that. And then I was kind of like, fuck. And that was expensive.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of a risk, but that paid off. But like that's the only like real financial risk. I think like bigger risks that you'll encounter are more like moving cities. You know what I mean? Like if you come to and I know you're kind of cozy in Chicago, but like if you decided to come to Miami.
Russell's actually in New Jersey, right, Russell?
You're in
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
from New
Yeah, we're
Jersey.
from Chicago. I mean, it's
whole time I thought you were in Chicago. my
he's
bad.
gonna come out to Chicago though
Don't worry
very
about
soon, right? Maybe.
Soon.
Okay, then perfect example. You're at your parents' house in Jersey. Like, it's gonna be a weird thing for you to like pack your shit in a U-Haul and drive down to Brickell and get yourself a spot in one of these buildings down here. Because like you might not know people,
Yeah.
you might not know if you're gonna be able to afford rent. Maybe you like you don't pay any rent now. Maybe you're like, fuck, what's it gonna be like if I have like a $5,000 a month rent and like a grand a month car payment and I want to be able to spend money and go out and do shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that'll be a little bit of a risk where it's like I'm upgrading my lifestyle. That's a risk. And I feel that shit every day, bro. Like the music can always stop. You guys ever feel that where it's like, fuck, like this shit could shut down tomorrow?
Oh yeah, dude, that's
Oh, for
fucking
sure.
dude. That is, and Mason, I kind of want to go off that. What was like when you, because that shit is the real like real life of entrepreneur. Like when you're like fucking, you wake up one day, you're like, fuck, what if like all my clients leave? You're like, you kind of like, but here's the thing, you learned all the skill sets to get you there. So that's why you're never nervous. Like you don't really get nervous about getting back there if it does happen because you have all the skill sets now. and you can scale 2 or 3 times as fast. But what was like a point where you were scaling and you were growing so fast? I know you mentioned like through a network and you had a couple guys kind of like um close to your network to get like got you a bunch of clients and whatnot. But what was like one of the biggest obstacles that because I know there's a lot of people that are probably gonna listen to this part, and I mean valuable for us and valuable for us as well. An obstacle that you kind of had, and once you kind of overcame that, and how did you overcome it? Like, what was the obstacle that made you get past that to get you to scaling to where you are now? Because like
Um,
right now for us, it's for example, let's say sales. Like if we're closing at let's say 30%, we can fucking get to 100K a month in this month, you
uh,
know. So, but that's not the case. We're not closing at 30%. So
Russell, get that fucking close right up, bro.
I know.
it's tough in the real estate agency, but
Yeah, I'm chilling on the other offers. Real estate's a little bit harder, and that's something like I love being with them because I don't make a ton of money specifically with their offer, but it's just learning. So like there's one offer where I'm making all the money that I need to make, and then I'm with them and I'm just learning different things. Like I talked to them last night, like I'm willing to take these kind of cuts where I'm not making a ton of money with them. Like we're talking about changing up the way that they're selling
Mhm.
because it doesn't matter to me how much I'm making with them because I'm learning so much more selling to realtors where it's really hard to sell them
Yeah, it's
than selling Amazon FBA, selling
yeah.
ecom where they're just laydowns, they'll just sign anything, swipe their credit
Yeah,
card.
Hermosi talks about that too. It's like fucking you're in a learning phase and you don't in some cases like why even fucking get paid when you're so it's so valuable to learn it. But my bad, I know we kind of cut you off. Go ahead.
so the question was like, what are obstacles that I had to overcome?
Yeah, like what was the biggest obstacle that got let's say got you maybe you were like stagnant or plateaued at let's say I don't know 10K a month or some shit 5K a month. And then once you came over that plateau, like right now, like I said, for us it's sales. Once you came over that, it got you to 50 or whatever the fuck it is.
So everybody knows what the answer is to grow their business. The obstacle is always yourself.
Mm,
Like every time I've ever been on a plateau, it's because I'm just not fucking feeling it. You
mm,
know, like there's been way too many times, and even up till like very recently, where I'm just like, I know what I need to do to get going,
mhm,
but it's like it requires this like sprint that I just like don't really physically have in me.
mm.
And everyone likes to talk big game on fucking Twitter and Instagram about hustle. I'm hustling all the time, bro. I'm working 12 hours a day. It's like, well, you're not doing the needle moving things, and like that's a big thing that I'm guilty of a couple times a year, where
Yeah.
it's like there's every year there's probably like 2 or 3 things that you like big things that
Mhm,
you really need to do as an entrepreneur to really move yourself forward.
mhm.
And sometimes it takes me a really fucking long time to get to those things,
I see.
and it's just tough to you got to convince yourself like why you're doing it. And so I think that's really the only thing, because you know that like to grow the agency you have now, it's
Yeah.
like more leads, like
Yeah.
like more, whatever,
Yeah.
open that
Increase
shit
show
up.
Have
rate.
more,
And
close
then
more. That's it.
Yeah.
yeah. So
Close more
it's a
numbers.
sales team problem, and you know that like to keep up on the back end, you need to hire more people to fulfill.
Yep.
Mhm.
Like it's really like not complicated on paper. It's just like, are you willing to fucking, put your dick down on the table and put 10K a month into paid traffic, or are you willing to stop doing cold emails and maybe do like fucking YouTube and start posting 2 videos a week
Yeah.
and get in the studio and fucking script those things out and shoot them and then
Right.
do a VSL and do all kinds of random shit. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's so much work that goes into that. A lot of people aren't willing to do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. That makes sense. So it's kind of, I mean, for you, it was really just like getting over, like, it was more like a limit, like a limiting belief almost, or like not a limiting belief, but like in your mind, you were like, fuck,
You had to like
I,
develop yourself in a
yeah, I
sense.
know what I got to do. And it's like, I just got to fucking put my head down and get it done.
Yeah, and that's everybody, bro. I
Yeah.
feel like even the people who are like stuck, like you were talking about before, where it's like they just like can't get themselves to get going.
Yeah.
It's because like that's a big thing that they have to commit to. There's like a work block that they have to knock out before they can make any money. They're not even being paid to do it. That's why it sucks to get into it. Because like when you're a copywriter, you have to send fucking cold DMs for like 2 months sometimes
Yeah. Fuck cold
before
DM, man.
like yeah, dude, it sucks to do it, but you have to. Like people don't want to be able to put in 4 hours a day for free. Like they're doing it for free. Like that shit sucks. I understand why everyone gives up. It fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But once you break through that, you have that mental shift where it's like, fuck. Okay, now I understand how this business thing works, where it's like sometimes I'm gonna have to do stuff for free that I really don't want to do, but when I do it, it unlocks the next tier.
Hmm.
That's what unlocks, from 10 to 30, from 30 to 80, 80 to 150, whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's how you grow.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's helpful. Yeah. I mean, it's just like we were talking about this yesterday at dinner. And it's like the limiting belief slash like you always get it. Like I mean, maybe sometimes you don't or whatever, but like as an entrepreneur, Russell, like this has come to us. I'm sure it's gotten to Mason a bunch of times. it's like you always have something in the back of your mind, like what, like, what if you wake up tomorrow and it's all gone, or like what if
What if
this,
it doesn't work?
yeah,
That's
what
my
if,
biggest
yeah,
one.
what if it doesn't work? But that's what fucking holds you back. It's like that little fucking devil in the back of your head that tells you that shit, and like that's what separates you. Like, I mean, there's a lot of guys on the internet talk about this shit. It's like, get past that fucking little voice in your head or whatever, and you'll be able to scale to wherever the fuck you want to be. Like, that's, I think I agree with like what you said. Like, that's the biggest thing holding you back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're right too. Like a lot of people, you said working for free when they're first
That's
starting.
what it feels like.
Yeah, and the reason people quit doing that is because they don't believe it.
Mm.
Like you said, when did you like fucking think it's actually real? Like, is there a moment like your first dollar is real? And then
No, my first cold email response.
first cold
Yeah,
email
and it was a
response.
negative one. I remember his email. It was mh@vandalproject.com, a Canadian company. They sold supplements. I was
That's
manually
insane.
sending cold emails. His name was Mohammed. And I sent him this cold email, and he responds with, "Yo, how did you get this? How did you get my email address?" And I told him, and I was like, "Yo, I scraped it. Hope you don't mind, but yo, I wrote you the sample. I want you to check it out. Can you give it a shot?" And he was like, "Fuck, sure." And so I sent it to him, and he hated it. And I remember thinking, like, I was so close, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I almost just did it. And I was like, okay, like, time to get back to it. And that's when I was just like, I ramped it the fuck up because I was like, now it's real.
Mhm.
Now I know that at any moment I could get hired. Because it's not like you'll send 2,000 cold emails and nobody ever responds. It's really only like 200 or
Yeah.
300. And then, like,
Yeah.
once you get that first client, you got money coming in, then you're not doing it for free anymore.
Mhm.
And it starts to feel real. And then every step after that, you just like, you get more and more motivated.
Yeah.
It is really surreal though. We just hit an invoice yesterday for like $1,200, just auto charge. Every time we do that, it feels surreal.
Yeah.
It's like looking at Stripe, like, damn, I'm really gonna bill this guy $1,200.
Yeah,
It's-
just
Run
like,
the card.
yeah,
dude,
auto
it's-
charging and shit. I mean, it's, yeah. I guess a little backstory, like, for on myself. I'm the oldest one here, but, and Russell, I mean, if you could learn anything from this, obviously take the path that you think is most right for you. But like for me, I went through high school, I went through college, I got my fucking degree in finance, even though I don't fucking use that bullshit piece of paper. But I went through all that shit. Kind of, I'm first generation here in the States. My parents were born in Bosnia, and so was his. We're both first gen, and we kind of had to do that shit for our parents. And I'm not sure exactly if you're in the same position where like your parents are like,
Yeah.
get the shit done. Yeah.
They want me to go. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like they want you to go to college, they want you to go through all that shit, but then once you get there, I mean, one thing that's like college is the most distracting shit. When I was in college, I didn't even fucking think about making a Wi-Fi money, I guess you can call it, right? I was like, fuck, where am I gonna get my next drink? Where am I gonna go fucking play my next basketball game, whatever the fuck it was, and it wasn't until I got out of that and then COVID hit, and I was like, fuck all this shit.
COVID was a blessing in disguise for us.
Absolutely.
It 100%
Yeah.
was.
I was
Dude,
playing Minecraft
it's a
during
different
COVID.
time.
Yeah.
As you should, bro.
was in sixth
I'm
grade.
glad you weren't 12.
Yeah.
Doing sales calls.
12 fucking. So would you be opposed to?
This is a great comment, but I feel like we should wrap it. Is there anything else you guys want to say? Anything you want to say? This is your pod, Russell.
I mean, like my last fucking thing, because you already gave me like a ton of advice.
Uh-huh.
But for everybody like else, like not even me personally, the other kids that are like 15, 16, want to do the same thing I'm doing. I mean, what would your piece of advice be to them?
Okay, so if you've watched all the way to the end, you've seen 4 different entrepreneurs with different like ethnic backgrounds, different ages, different industries, all sharing the exact same experiences where we felt it wasn't going to work. We didn't think it was real. And we got that first dopamine hit or that first little piece of validation or first dollar or whatever. And then it started working. And then we surprised ourselves with the results that we got with it. You know what I mean? You probably didn't think you were going to make this much money at this age.
Fuck
I
no.
definitely thought I was never going to be here. You guys probably
Yeah.
the same thing, right?
Oh.
So there's you just saw 4 different cases of this. It's not going to be different for you. If you're in the, I guarantee everyone watching, except for maybe 1%, everyone else is sitting here thinking like, fuck, I wish that were me. I wish I could make it work. You can. It's just this one thing that you forgot to do. And it's fucking get your ass to work.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I want to add on is like for us, I mean, it wasn't too long ago that I was in that same boat, and it's like it's very easy to just scroll past on the next video and watch the next fucking thing and, go eat and fucking live the same life that you're living, but it's like the hardest part is starting. And once you kind of start and once you kind of get the water flowing and the fucking, flood the gates flood open, that's when things are just very easy in your mind. You know what to do, And one of my buddies tells me, he's like, the ball is not in your court, and it's not like the favor is not on your end. Everything's not in your favor. Essentially, is what he's trying to tell me. And he's working a corporate job, all that stuff. And he's like, you need a lot of luck, you need a lot of stuff. And I'd argue that it's the complete opposite. I think the ball is in your favor. The ball is in your court. And it's like your
Just
fate is
stay
kind of
disciplined.
yeah, to stay disciplined. Like the fate is kind of in your hands, and as long as you kind of stick to it, like I mean, you control your fate. I strongly
It's
believe that.
inevitable. You stick to something, and guess what? It'll happen one fucking day, whether you like it or not.
It's all
Yeah.
up to
Is-
you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, everything you guys said is awesome. I think like the perfect thing to fucking end it off is the exact same thing that you said is you just have to work. You just have to do it, and it'll all work out. It'll all come together.
It's all up to
Hell
you.
yeah.
Yo, thanks for watching. If you got all the way to the end, honestly, you're sick for that. Thank you. Like, subscribe, go follow these boys on their socials. We'll plug them in
Hell
the
yeah.
description.
All right, let's go drive the Rari and the Lamb.
See you guys.